I'm going to get started. Today is the red, yellow, and green day. And if you haven't heard of that, it's a really interesting concept on how to operate in this business. And what I'm going to start out with is I want to show you something because if there's anybody here, it's that thought that, oh, I got to be 100% every single day, for the entirety of my business. And if not, I'm failing, or come on, I got to grind, and I got to do more every week. I got to get better every week. I got to, every year I've got to double. And we're human. And I want to show you something. And also, too, let's say you have a lot of days that are really strong, and sometimes you have lower days. Well, by identifying what those are, it's gonna give you the permission to take a break, or ease up on yourself. So it can work for both. So I want to start off with showing you some stocks. So this, this is Apple, and I'll explain more of what a red, yellow, and green day is as we get going. I just want to start with this. We look at Apple. I mean, who wouldn't mind owning Apple or being the CEO of Apple? Probably not a bad gig. And if we look at it, if we look at today, they're up. Past 5 days up. I hope this is a good example. Yeah. Okay. So then last month they were down. So their numbers were actually down a little bit. And then we look at past 6 months. So the numbers are actually down for the past 6 months. If there's anybody here whose numbers are down a little bit the last 6 months, year to date, actually not what they were last year. And then we go to the year, and then they're up the past year. So this is a company that has a whole board of people who are specialized, the top CEOs, business owners, everything in the country, like a whole board of people. And you see that it's even normal sometimes to be down. Sometimes, like, that's just normal. If we look at Starbucks, anybody else, drink Starbucks or like this company, we look at this, we see the same thing, is that past 5 days, maybe it's up, and yet the last month it's down, the last 6 months down. And you'll notice too, there are these down days, and then there are these big up days. This is incredible. And then there's a down day, and up, down, up, down, down. We look at the year to date, they're still down just a little bit. We have this big peak, and then there's valleys. We look at over the year, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Frankie.
We look at 5 years, over the 5 years. So do you see how it's normal to have days that are stronger than others? And this is a company backed by, incredible business owners all over the world, the top. So think about if they had a hard day. Let's see. I think we might make sure I'm mute. Might need to do that. So if think about that, if they had a hard day at the company, and they said, or a hard year, let's say, and they said, "Ah, man, our numbers are out. Maybe I should just quit. I can't do this. What's wrong with me? Maybe I should give up." If they went in and they said, "Man, you guys suck. You employees, like, you're not doing enough. Come on, you guys aren't good." Think of what that would do to the company. That wouldn't help, right? And so we want to make sure we're not doing that to ourselves. And so that's when we go into red, yellow, and green days. And here's what this is. And really, this relates to what's called executive function. And so executive function is, some researchers actually say that ADHD, and you might have heard me say this before, ADHD is not attention deficit hyperactive, because not everybody has hyperactivity, and we can actually hyper focus on certain things. Maybe ADHD is actually an executive function disorder or challenge, because we also can hyper focus. That's not a disorder. That's incredible. And what executive function is, it's part of the brain that's responsible for the reward center. It's for motivation, it's energy, it's executing on tasks, it's organizing, it's prioritizing, it's regulating emotion. And there's so many pieces to it. And it can also be calming down overwhelm, because we can go from understimulated to overstimulated multiple times throughout the day, where sometimes we feel bored and then we shut down because we're paralyzed because it's overstimulating. And so that's really, really normal. And what the concept of green, yellow, and red days is instead of expecting a green day every single day, it's being aware of the category that you might be in, and then adjusting your expectations accordingly for that day. And what that does is, let's say, for example, let's talk about a red day. A red day, and I just put some up here, and I'm going to show you an example. A red day, you might be having a hard day, low energy, trouble getting out of bed, trouble getting motivated. And this might look different for different people. If you have a chronic illness, your red day might be, your physical ability might be more extreme than someone who doesn't have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome. And so your red day is going to look like your red day. And I'm going to show you an example because I'm going to do mine a little bit with you too. A yellow day is somewhere in the middle, somewhere where, you're not, well, I guess I'll start with, go to green next. Green's got a lot of energy. You don't get tired. You can just keep going. And you just have this big burst. And it's really normal. We're human to fluctuate between the three. And so a green day is you've got a ton of energy. You are at your best. You are ready to go. You can get stuff done. Your discipline or your motivation, those things feel really high. You're maybe above baseline or right there. And then that yellow day is kind of in between, where you've got energy. Maybe it's not this crazy thing. And yes, this is the template. So I'm going to give this to you too. So your yellow day is going to be kind of in between. And when you have, let's say, well, here's what I'll say. So here, executive function, I want to share this. So if you have ADHD, you probably have executive function stuff. And there's all kinds of different populations that can experience it. And 2/3 of people with ADHD have a co-occurring diagnosis, which could be anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, OCD. You might have PTSD. Substance abuse is more common with ADHD. There's a lot of different things. And so this is a template. I put this in here. So if you experience any of this, you might have, and I'll just share for me because you know that I share that. So I've checked a couple on this. I have ADHD. I have anxiety. I have Asperger's, so I'm on the spectrum. I would say depression is not a thing for me right now, but I got that diagnosis when I was 10. And so that's something that can fluctuate. I also have PTSD and I have OCD. And so if you just have one plus a bunch more on here, then it might be even more so. And there's certain things that can also show up that can increase the existence of a red day too. If you're going through grief, if there's maybe change, some of us can really struggle with change or transition. If something's going on at work, if you're stressed, if you're grieving, if you have a flare up, if you have a chronic illness, if you're newly sober, that's something coaching people too. It's like, oh man, it's having so much hard time doing this. Why is that happening? It's like, hey, isn't this the first month that you're sober? So we kind of want to imagine this as like a fuel tank. You wake up with a certain amount of fuel. So if we go back to this, like you're green, if you imagine a fuel tank in a car, that you got full fuel for the day. Now yellow might be half or 75%, and red, your fuel tank in the car might be 10%, might be 25%. It just kind of depends on who you are and how that shows up. And I mean, it can be affected by how you slept the night before. If you have food allergies, I mean, if you have intrusive thoughts, I mean, there's just so many things that can affect this. As to what color you might be in. And so, and I'll go a little bit more into this. And when you let's say you have a red day and you have a red day and you're having a hard time and you feel like you're not motivated. Hormones, yep, absolutely. All kinds of stuff. You have that red day and your hormones might be off, or you might have a flare up, or there might be stress or whatever's happening. And you wake up and you have a red day and your expectations are a green day. Okay, I'm going to do 3 hours of lead gen. I'm going to use this script. I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. I'm going to wake up and do this workout. I'm going to cook breakfast for myself. I'm going to do my full makeup or put on a suit or whatever that. And I'm going to get into the office at this time. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to clean the house. And that's your expectation, but you're in a red day. Chances are you're probably going to have another red day, because if you're comparing yourself to a green day and beating yourself up, what's that going to do to your energy? It's going to really potentially impair you and kind of create shame. And so we want to be really aware of that. And so what this is a template, and I'll turn screen share off in a second because I want to go back to my notes and talk about. But what this is, and we'll come back to this, it's a template where you can decide what your green, yellow, and red day is for you, and what time you might wake up, and what you might do for breakfast, what movement looks like, what you do to get ready, because they might vary based on what day it is. So let me turn screen share off just for a second, and I will share this template with you. I want to go back to my notes and make sure I hit everything. Okay. So, and like I said, if you have a lot of green days, having a red day, maybe that's a day you take off, because that's the other thing. We can be really hard on ourselves and think, oh man, I just got to go, go, go. And notoriously, we're not great at taking time off, or with ADHD, we can be perfectionists. We can, I know I for sure overcompensated because I thought, well, hey, I've got some lower self esteem. So if I achieve, or if I do this, or if I grind or something like that, then it's going to be okay. And yeah, we want to give ourselves grace. We really do. And so I'm going to do an example of mine really quick, and then we're going to talk about what happens if you have a lot of red days, what you can do, what happens if you have, a lot of yellow days, what that might look like, some accommodations, and how to preserve the fuel tank. So that's what we're going to go into. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back to the screen share here, and then I'm going to do one with you so you can see what this looks like. So let's see. Okay. So here's the template, and I'm going to drop it. I'll drop it in there right now. I'm going to drop it in there a lot, and we'll send this out because we've got our newsletter going. But here's the template here, and this is somebody might have mentioned this is similar to the spoon theory. If you know what that is, it's okay if you don't. But yes, this is similar to the spoon theory for chronic illness. So let's fill this out, and then we also have a weekly color tracker. So if you want to, you can type in, like as you do this, you can type in, and this is for the week. So you could type in whatever color week you had, and it's actually going to change. It's got conditional formatting. And if you choose to do this, you can kind of reflect on the week, and then you can see kind of the patterns as to, what color is showing up most. And then you can also put notes like, sick that week, moved, food prep and did really well. So you can, because we really want to be curious. The worst thing you can do is be like judgmental and harsh on yourself. It doesn't help you have a green day the next day. It just takes away your energy. So let's fill this in. I started, this is an example, and this is my personal stuff. So if you look at the template, it's like, here's what it could be, here's what a green, yellow, and red day looks like. You can also change this. So for me, a high green day for me, I'm going to be focused. I'm going to feel really motivated, passionate. There's never end to my fuel. I could work 14-hour days and, lots of ideas. I don't even want to take a break. That's how it feels. And then my red day on the other side is like, I can't force myself. And I've had a lot of red days, a lot. And I want to tell you that you can build, I think a lot of you guys know, right? I've ran a team in the top 100 in the world. You can build a successful business on a lot of yellow and red days if you have those. We're going to talk about that. If it's a green day, you might not need some of the tools, or it might just make you more productive, what I'll share today. But I'm going to tell you how I did this, because I would say up until the last years ago, when I was building a top 100 team, I would say majority of my days were yellow or red, for sure. I might have a green day, or I might have a green hour, and then it's back to yellow and red. And you can do a lot with red days, so don't worry about that. It's just good to know. And so for me, a red day, this is how it shows up for me. I can't force myself. I get kind of panicky, like almost like I want to cry. I might feel like shutting down. I might feel really emotional, like kind of raw. Everything feels hard. Motion regulation issues. I might get anxiety. I might have angry really quick. I might be irritable, on edge, jumpy. I might be apathetic. I might just not care at all. Have trouble like even eating anything. I might have flashbacks, right? So PTSD. I might have random memories come back for no reasons. My OCD compulsions might turn up. I might get really overstimulated really easy. Sound might hurt, like literally, because I'm on the spectrum. If anybody relates, like sound literally can feel like pain. It's like the same thing in my system. Might have brain fog, dizzy. I might feel sick. I mean, these are all kinds of things. And so, the first thing I look at is wake up time. So if I'm having a red day, or if I have multiple red days in a row, then I'm going to sleep in a lot later. I don't start till 10. That's how I've set it up for me. And your schedule might be different. So on a green day, I'm going to wake up early and go to the gym, like super early. Medium day, I might sleep in a little bit longer and get a little bit shorter workout in. So you might see, like I'll do like movement 2 times a day when I'm in the green. Yellow, I might do a workout 1 time a day. And then red day, I might just stretch on the floor or go for a walk, something really simple. Breakfast, might cook breakfast. Yellow, I might, have cereal, like a healthy high fiber cereal. And a red day, I might just grab a granola bar. Because what we want to do when you're, especially in a red day, and this is how you can be successful, is we want to preserve your fuel tank. Any that fuel tank you have, any activity you do that uses executive function that you don't want to do or uses discipline, can potentially pull from the fuel tank. And so that's something to be aware of, is just really how can you preserve your fuel tank? How can you preserve that fuel? Do you need to use, um, if you had like this amount of fuel and a fourth of it would be used to make breakfast, you might not want to cook breakfast. You might grab a granola bar because you've just preserved a little fuel. Because what we really want to do is we want to preserve the fuel tank to do the things we have to do to maintain our business and like take care of our family. And so it might be, and you can add any kind of categories in here. So it might be with kids, what you do. So it's like, this is about kind of leveraging things out. Clothes, makeup, right? You might like wear a suit or put on full makeup or something, whatever like that. And this might be a half thing. And then the red day, you might just wear pajamas and work from home that day because it feels too hard to get up and get in the car. I realize, what I'm going to show you the spoon theory because somebody mentioned that, and this is along the lines, and I think this will be a really good metaphor. So this is the spoon theory right here. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So this is similar to this. And so what the spoon theory is, especially if you have a chronic illness or something like that, is like, hey, you get 12 spoons for the day, and this is almost like your fuel tank, and you can use them for whatever you want, but when you've used them, they're gone, they're done. And so getting out of bed takes a spoon, getting dressed takes a spoon, taking your pills, bathing takes 2 spoons, style your hair, surf the internet, 3 spoons might be to make and eat a meal, make plans and socialize, light housework. And then 4 spoons might be going to work, going shopping, going to the doctor, exercise. So if you only have 12 spoons and you bathe, which takes 2, you make and eat a meal, now you've got 5 spoons, and then you go to work. Well, that's 9 spoons. You have 3 spoons left for the rest of the day. And so that's when it's like there's no fuel left, where it can just get hard. And if you're constantly doing things and your fuel tank is just taxed, this is where we see burnout and depression and anxiety and hopelessness and all these things. And this is where we want to cut stuff out if we can. So you might, if you're like a lot of red days, which I'll show you with that. If you have a ton of red days, let's say, you're going to look at stuff differently. So things that might seem like luxuries are actually going to be an accommodation. So let me give you an example, because this is something I've had a lot of red days. Some days when I know it's a hard week, you might go buy plastic, paper plates and plastic spoons and cups so you don't have to wash dishes because it feels insurmountable. You might get a cleaner every week. You might get a lawn person. You might get childcare. You might get a dog walker. These are things that I think some of us think, oh, that's a luxury. No, this is an accommodation. If you are having red days where you can't do your lead generation, like if you're so tired that you have nothing left to do the lead generation, which is the one activity that's going to grow your business, an accommodation is actually going to make you money. So if you invest, let's say it takes all week to do food prep and you're saving, you don't get a meal service, you save $300 a month to do food prep, but it takes you all weekend and you're exhausted by Monday, that $300 you're saving might be costing you thousands of dollars instead of relaxing on the weekend, getting a meal service, and then being able to go out and lead generate for your business. And so we really want to be aware of what days you're in. Work start time, so you might do more. You might start early on green days, yellow. And we're going to go to questions at 4:30, so in about 10 minutes, just to let you know. Lead generation activities, lunch. So sometimes on a red day, it's just good enough to like eat something. It doesn't even matter if you stick to your diet, just get something in your body. It just depends. Chores, you might not do them on a red day, or you might do one. So a green day, what's going to be neat is if you do track or you do go through this, you're going to learn your patterns. And you're going to learn, are you somebody that has a majority of red days, yellow days, green days? And then what does that look like for you? Because again, one person's red day or green day is going to look very different from the other one. And then if that's going to tell you, what you want to set up and design for your life. And so you might have like your bedtime might be different, your bedtime routine, your self-care activity, dinner might be something easy. There's a lot of stuff in it. So just learning when to give yourself grace and when not to. Let me look at my notes on here. So I want to make sure I'm hitting everything. Oops. Okay. And then the other thing is like, what if you have a lot of red days? So here's some things you can do if you have a lot of those. Cut out any extra meetings. Think if this is in alignment with the goal or not. Cut out meetings, extras. Stop saying yes to so many things unless it's in alignment with your business or your family. A lot of us can just be super altruistic. Like we want to help a lot of people, right? We're good people. And so it's really important to kind of watch that and also make sure you're not overextending. Um, there's other things. Watch your internal dialogue. So this is the other thing I really want you to watch for is focusing on curiosity over judgment. A judgment is not going to move you forward. I'm just going to say it. And so let me give you an example on that. So let's say someone wakes up and they have a red day, and you wake up, and then let's say somebody was there with you. So we're going to kind of separate that voice in your head, and that person says, "Man, get up. What's wrong with you? Wow, like you shouldn't. I don't even know if you could do this. Like I don't even know if you should be in this business. Have discipline. You're not going to be successful if you don't do it this way. Wow, come on, do affirmations, do like they said." That's judgment. Whereas curiosity says, "Ooh, hold on. Wow, I'm having a hard time this morning. I wonder what happened. Oh, that's right. Like we had a fight last night." Or, "Oh, you know what? I didn't take my medicine." Or, "You know what? I should get my hormones checked." Or, "I had really hard dreams last night that brought back a lot of memories." Or, "You know what? I've worked so long and I haven't had good boundaries and I'm burned out." And then now you say, what do I need? What's going to help? Which one is going to actually move you forward? The judgment or the curiosity? Curiosity all day, all day. Curiosity is going to help you figure out what is the thing that you need. It's going to help you get the data and collect the information to then move forward and make a plan. And so a lot of us can have that kind of voice that really is the tough love. And when you're relating it to executive function, I would say it's more logical, it's more practical. You're just getting data. Because when you talk to yourself harshly, you're creating pain. Pain can be a motivator, but it's kind of a band-aid, because then you have to do it every day. You have to be harsh to yourself every day. Whereas if you find out what the root of things are going on, and then you can think about what to shift and what to change, and then it doesn't come up for you in the same way the next day. Or radical acceptance. Maybe you have a lot of things going on, you have a lot of red days, and that's okay. And so you just know that's how it is for you, and you accept it at the moment, and you've explored that, and you got to a point where, hey, this is the best I can do. And so then you adjust your expectations of what that can be. Another way that you can use this is if you have seasonal affective disorder, let's say, where you get depression in certain areas. And so I worked with a client for like 6 years who had major depression that would always kind of have this dip in motivation around this time of the year. And so what we did is we knew there were more green weeks and days, and so we would stack those weeks. So let's say, here's a good rule of thumb, because you can kind of adjust what you're doing, is for every 2 signed agreements, you're going to get 1 sale. 2 signed agreements, you're going to get 1 sale. And so how I would use this, if we go to the weekly color tracker, is let's say your goal is to close 24 units. Okay, so 24 units, which would be 2 sales a month. You need 4 signed agreements to get 2 sales. So if your goal is 24 units a year, you're going to need 1 signed agreement a week. So 1 signed agreement a week would be 4 in a month, which for every 2 signed agreements, that's 1 sale, right? So that would equal 2 sales for the month. Did that make sense? Or did I go back? Is that, let me know. Okay. So yeah. So having that, so then what you know is, okay, I've had January I had a lot of red days. So this February I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling great. I'm gonna go for 1 a week, and then the next week I'm gonna go for 2, and I'm gonna alternate, or I'm gonna stack it, because I'm going to go for 2 appointments a week just in case cyclically I have depression come up, or I know a move is coming up, or I know there's a trip, or I know, my mother-in-law is coming to move in. So it allows you to adjust, because as we looked at the stocks, if we go back to those, you're fluctuating is really normal. And so it's okay if you have off days. One bad day, is that going to crash a business? Let's look at this. Like, is it one bad day going to crash a business? How about a bad month? How about 6 months? How about a year? It's not. It's the entirety over years and years. And so again, don't freak out if you have a hard day. Watch that. We can go into all or nothing thinking, where it's like, oh my gosh, right? Black and white, where, oh man, my business is, I have this not good day, and oh man, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? I'm not a good agent. Why can't I stay motivated? Watch the extreme thinking, the all or nothing. Whereas if you said, you know what, I've had a hard week, and a hard week, 1 week out of 52 weeks is not going to crash my business, then that's going to get you calm, and it's going to get you in a green day faster. So some other things, let me check my notes. I know we have about 3 minutes left here. So be curious, preserve your fuel tank. Red days, I'm just going to say, and I speak more to red days, because green days, great, go. Green means go. And so I'm speaking a little bit more to the red days, because that's what I've seen coaching clients have the most trouble accepting, is if you're experiencing like a lot of mental health stuff, or like super depression, this day might just be getting through. It might just be preserving yourself. It might just be talking to one person. It's okay if you don't do the laundry. It's okay if you miss something. It's okay if you're late, as long as you just preserve yourself and make sure you get some food in that day and drink water. That's okay too, depending on that, because your red days might fluctuate and might be more or less. So again, I want to reiterate that you can have a very successful business with any color of days. So I actually was like creating a way to score how many days on here, and then I stopped because I didn't want it to seem like the goal is to always be green or you're losing. The goal is not, I mean, if you get there and that's your goal, that's okay, but don't freak out if you don't. And if you have majority of red days, that's okay. We're just collecting data and making a plan. And so then the other thing is, let's say you've had a lot of red days and now you have a green day. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm not used to this. And so this is great, because you can go to this plan and think, okay, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start work at, 8 a.m. And then a yellow day is just kind of in between, and you could have majority of yellow days and be successful. I think green days are not as common as we think. I think a lot of people have yellow days a lot, and then green days are sometimes more rare than yellow. And you might fall in that camp, in the camp where it's mostly green. I think this is more normal, and people without ADHD have red days. Just so you know, people without mental health stuff have red days. It's human nature. So I want to speak to the lead gen really quick on that too. So for green day, for lead generation, you might do it for 3 hours. You might do it for 4 hours. So you might have and then a yellow day, it might be 1 to 2 hours. And this is just a red day. It might be that you just text the clients back so you don't lose, rapport with them. Or it could be that on a red day, you do text and Facebook only. You don't talk to anybody on the phone. Or let's say instead of hours, maybe you set like one appointment, and this one you set, 3 appointments per week. So it also doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. It could be an action. And then lunch, it just depends. Maybe you go eat really healthy. And again, on a red day, your inhibitions or your impulse control might be lower. And so maybe you go grab fast food just because that's the only thing you're going to eat that day, and that's okay. Or you have something microwavable, because the other thing you can do is you can plan ahead. So once you have this, instead of thinking, I got to have a green day every day, once you know kind of your pattern, which can shift, by the way, and it can fluctuate, then you can plan accordingly. So for me, when I've had majority of red days, I might get groceries delivered and have that on a regular schedule. Dog food might be on a rotation, supplements through Amazon. They send it every month. I'm trying to put stuff in place where I do the least amount of things, where I'm taxing my fuel tank the least amount. because we really want to, really want to prioritize that. And so if your house is messy, that's okay. There's just, a lot of stuff. So let's see. Yeah, and maybe you don't do laundry that day. Like, give yourself grace. You know what I mean? Okay, I think that's what I had for my notes. Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to say too is just, we need breaks and boundaries too. And so this is where the data is going to come in. Our brains aren't going to say, oh, it's Friday at 6. Now I will need relaxation. It might be a Tuesday afternoon at 3 where our brains are like, hey, I need a break. I'm kind of done. And so maybe you switch to the protocol after that. Again, this doesn't have to be rigid, like it has to be like this. This is kind of for you to play with and just see. And you can change any of this. You can add columns in there that aren't in there. You can track them if you want. I made it weekly, so it's not every day, so it wasn't as intensive. And then, yeah, here's just some different things about executive function. So that's what I have for my notes today. So thank you guys so much. Shoot me a message if you need anything. And yeah, your brains are amazing, and give yourself grace because you're doing an amazing job. All right, have a good one, everybody.